Hello and welcome to Called Bank Sports. The Jazz are on a tear right now with the longest winning streak of the season. And that's not just their longest winning streak. 7 games is the most any team's won in a row. So while, there have been some easy teams like the Cavaliers and the Detroit Pistons over that stretch, we also went and beat the Bucks to keep that win streak alive and also beat the Denver Nuggets, who are on kind of the lower end right now, but still have some amazing players in Jokic and Murray. So overall, just been absolutely amazing stretch so far for the Jazz, and we should expect them to continue that tonight against the Golden State Warriors. Before we get to the podcast, just a reminder to tune in for our post game, probably going to be around 9:30, 9:45, but just stay tuned after the game and we will discuss how the Jazz did and where we think they're going from there. So Donovan Mitchell did something that I think really shows where the league's going and just some major changes that are coming into effect now. He is the fastest player in NBA history to get to 600 made three-pointers. What was your reaction to that, Dale, when you found that out?
I actually didn't believe it at first because that's not Donovan Mitchell's reputation. He's known as like the slasher. He can score inside, and we know he can shoot threes, but he's never been a super efficient 3-point shooter. And I've never even thought of him as a volume 3-point shooter. And like thinking of all the other younger players that are like his age, like Jason Tatum was another player who came to mind. I was like, wouldn't Jason Tatum be that player? But I guess it does make sense. Donovan Mitchell his shot has gotten better every single year. Jason Tatum's on a team where he's had to share a lot of shots. So Jason Tatum, I do think, is a better shooter, but I think this worked out perfectly with Donovan Mitchell's situation, and it's proving that he is a 3-point threat, and I think he's been proving that this season as well. He's been awesome from the 3-point line, so it was unbelievable, but it's crazy that it's actually true. That's what happened.
Yeah, so I mean, he did that in about 240 games. So that means he was averaging just over he was averaging probably around 2.5 3-pointers a game to get that. So obviously, first player that comes to mind that is probably going to shatter that record is Trae Young, who has currently played like 150 games. And I don't have the total number of he has... Wait a second here. Okay, he has just over 1,100 3-point attempts, and he has made 392. So he's like 155 games. He's got 90 more to go, and he needs to make 208. So I think we'll see Trae Young beat that record. But it is just awesome that Donovan has that record, and to really just see him being one of the younger players who, even if he's not like the prototypical Steph Curry, where he's just going out and jacking up 8 points a game, that he is able to hit those 3-pointers and like bring that element to his game and to the Jazz.
Yeah, and with just where the NBA is moving, we're probably going to see that record broken every couple years. And I'm sure it'll get to a point where it's just some ridiculous, like someone gets it in like his first season and we're just like, okay, like that's game over. I don't think that's going to happen, but
what's the quickest number of games you could ever see it happening in? 600 threes.
600 threes. To get 100, you'd have to make 6 a game, which is ridiculous. That like you'd have to be an incredible 3-point shooter on an awful team, kind of like how Trae Young started. I think 200 games is super realistic, so I bet it would be under 200. Probably between that 150-200 mark.
No, I agree with you. I think 200 games is like totally plausible. 150 is where it starts getting to the realm of just uncharted territory. One benefit that Trae Young has is he's on a team that all they care about is offense. He's the best player, and he's just able to go out and put up as many threes as he wants whenever he wants to put them up. There's not a lot of pressure, where I feel Donovan has always been on a team where it's like we have championship aspirations. and at least playoff aspirations. He hasn't always been championship, but playoff aspirations. So you have to go out and play in a way that gets us to the playoffs, where Trae Young is just going out there and trying to make the All-Star team. Like, I really think that that's what his season entails, is him getting up enough threes to make the All-Star team as an amazing offensive player who might as well just go sit down for 24 seconds when it's on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and he's the point guard, so the ball's in his hand. So if he feels like shooting it from deep, just whenever he wants, then he does. And I don't think the coach is going to complain too much, because it's not like, at least his rookie season, no one else was going to make a shot.
Yeah.
But I've talked a few times in our post-game reviews, which, by the way, if you're not tuning in for our post-game reviews, we do one after every game live. So we try to get it out as quick as possible. But I've been talking a lot about Donovan's shot, how I think his shooting mechanics is like, it's awesome. Like Joe Ingles, he has a good shot, but his shooting mechanics are like awful. It's like a 3-motion shot, so it's tough for him to get it out as quick. But Donovan Mitchell's is smooth, and this, I feel like he's been a lot more confident, and he's been hitting them a lot more often than I've seen in years past. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Donovan Mitchell be a regular, hovering around that 40% 3-point percentage mark in a year or two for the rest of his career.
Yeah, right now he's at 40.8% for the season, which I definitely think is going to come a bit more back down to earth. I do think he's improved his shot, so we'll see it go up. I don't know. I wouldn't bank on him finishing over 40% this season. But man, if you're able to have Bojan come back and shoot over 40%, Joe be over 40%, Royce O'Neal be over 40%, Niang be over 40%, and then add Donovan to that list to be over 40%. And Conley's been having an awesome year. I don't know what his percentage is right now. He's at 41%. So if the Jazz have 6+ players over 40%, that would just be absolutely amazing to be what could possibly be the best 3-point shooting team in NBA history.
We need Rudy Gobert to shoot 10 threes this year and make 4 of them, just so we can have a 7th.
Yes, that's what we need to do. We need to have someone foul him on every single one. We'll go coordinate with another team, a French player, see if we can get some nationalism going on there, and just have him get fouled on every single one so they don't count to his statistics unless he makes them. So that's our plan right there. We'll coordinate that. No, that would
just
be...
in garbage time when the Jazz are already up by 20. just foul Rudy on the 3.
Hey, like, please help Gobert, please. So that's a great opportunity to transition to Gobert, though. Like, his games against the Pelicans, I felt like were just shows how intangible he is, because the Pelicans' biggest fear was letting Gobert dunk, especially where like Steven Adams is pretty good on the defensive end, but if like Zion is just like needs a lot of work. He's 20 years old, so by no means am I going to say he's not capable of changing, and he's also an athletic beast. So he should, in the next couple of years, become an elite defender in the NBA if he's going to live up to the expectations he has as the number 1 pick. But watching them just sell out for Gobert, that let the Jazz shoot, I believe, over 50% from 3 the first night. And then when they tried to sell out on Gobert and sell out on the 3-point shot the second night, the Jazz just went and made a bunch of floaters and got a bunch of points in the paint. So Gobert impacted both of those games, even if it's not a box score stat.
And I feel like we'll probably have to say this probably every episode for the rest of eternity while Gobert is on the Jazz. But like, he adds more than people see. He's not a box score guy. Just if you watch the game and understand what he's actually doing on defense, like it's something that it's not super obvious all the time, because it's not like he's going out and getting like 6 blocks a game and like just like no one can score down low. But it's because players know how good he is that they're just avoiding the paint. They're trying to fit their offense around the paint, which is obviously the best place to score. So it makes it tough for teams to like game plan their offense, and then it throws them off. And that's just him being there is what makes the Jazz win. Like, even if he's not doing great defensively, teams know what he can do. So it makes him a little more tentative. And then obviously, like you talked about, the Pelicans trying to stop his dunk, which it's not like he's Shaq and just bullying people around. It's just if they try to stop the drive, he's there. He's a lob threat.
I don't have the exact quote pulled up, but George Niang said in interviews this week, he said, I don't think that anyone who's not in our locker room can ever understand the importance of Rudy Gobert to this team. And that's just a lot of like, that's just super big to hear because, yeah, like Gobert is valuable. Would I have paid him $200 million? That would have been hard. But I think that the Jazz needed to pay him $200 million because he's their best shot at a championship. And to everyone who's watching this video and thinks that Rudy Gobert is overpaid, please go down to the comments and tell me the exact moves you'd want the Jazz to make and what you would want them to do. Because I think that it's a fair argument that to say he's overpaid. However, to say he's overpaid and then not say this is what the Jazz should have done with this $200 million and this is why it's possible, in the end just doesn't hold a lot of water because I don't think the Jazz could have got any more for that $200 million than they're getting with Gobert right now.
Yeah, and we did a like Gobert trade episode like right as we started doing YouTube. Before this, we've done a podcast for a while, so we put our podcast episode up. There's not even video. But I feel like we went through those trades because we were like, okay, if Gobert isn't paid, if he doesn't agree to a contract, the Jazz might look at trading him. So we put some potential trade options. And I think the best player that we saw the Jazz getting was like Vucevic. And so it's like Vucevic is great, but he's not Gobert. So like if it came to that, I think the Jazz should have considered trading him. At least that way they would have gotten something. But like other teams don't value Gobert, so he's a tough player to trade to get the same value back.
Yeah, they value him. They just know that they can. Like, they're not going to give up Jason Tatum for him. They're not going to give up whoever the second Jaylen Brown on the Celtics, like, because in that situation, it would just be like James Harden, where the James Harden trade, where there wouldn't have been nearly as much leverage as the other team wanted. Just like the Anthony Davis trade to Los Angeles, where Los Angeles was able to get a pretty good deal because just no leverage. Like, leverage in trading is really important. So trying to trade a player just so you don't lose their contract is really hard to do in today's league.
And and the annoying thing is it happens all the time. So
it does.
If you're a small market team that can't put together an awesome unit that can make it to the playoffs every year, then even if you draft well, you're going to lose those stars after a few years, which sucks.
Is the best trade of all time for getting rid of a contract? At least the team taking on that contract, Toronto taking on Kawhi. Is that the best one of all time?
I'd have to like dig through the trades. That was probably the best one for immediate success.
So, I mean, it's top 5 because you got him, you had to give up some stuff, but you won a title.
Yeah,
so
like they gave up DeMar DeRozan and a pick, which I feel like any team would trade like the Jazz. I'd say DeMar DeRozan is probably on the same level as like Bojan. Like the Jazz would trade Bojan and a pick for a championship.
Oh, totally. Like if it was Bojan and a pick for Kawhi.
Sorry to Bojan, but
I love Bojan. Like, we love Bojan. One thing, we've done trade videos and we'll continue to do trade videos.
Because they're fun.
Like, they're fun and it's fun to talk about. But we do realize we're talking about actual like people with lives and with feelings and just moving them around like game pieces. But like, I mean, that's just sadly how the NBA works to an extent. But with player empowerment, it definitely has moved towards where I think trades are becoming less prevalent in certain ways and still happening. Like, you rarely see players nowadays just get traded to somewhere where they just don't want to be. But that's probably because only star players are willing to speak out about that. So
Yeah.
We'd have to dive more deep into how trading has changed in the NBA. So if that sounds like an interesting video that you'd want to see, let us know in the comments and we'll consider getting that put together in the future.
And we did touch a little bit on that on our like what player empowerment means for the NBA video that we put out on Wednesday this last week. We touched on that, but we can dive deeper if that's something that interests you. But we kind of talked about where it's heading and why it happened, how it happened. Yeah. But let's jump into the Jazz schedule. So we mentioned the Warriors game. We're going to do a post-game review tonight. Well, Nate's going to take care of that one. But do you want to do a little bit of a preview since most games you don't get the chance to do a preview? Do you have any thoughts going into this game?
So I think that my thoughts are going to be, I'm excited to see what James Wiseman does. We did see Rudy Gobert get a bit exposed by Zion, which I don't think is horrendous. Zion's an amazing athlete, and when he gets the ball in his hands on the offensive end, he can do amazing things. He's like a once-in-a-lifetime talent in the NBA. Weissman's also a really good center. So I'd expect to see him put up some points on Gobert. Maybe not as much. Zion definitely has a lot more experience, and this is his second season. But overall, the most interesting thing will be how Draymond Green getting ejected in the Warriors' last game impacts this game, since I think that it'll lead to him having some fresher legs. But overall, my expectations is for this to be a close game that the Jazz win. Like, it might be a blowout, but you still have Draymond Green and Steph Curry. And Draymond Green isn't what he used to be, but Steph Curry can still light it up from behind the arc. So if Steph has a good night, it'll be a hard game, but I don't think they have enough players around Steph right now to add the 1-2 punch and just take it out and end the Jazz's win streak.
Yeah, I agree. Like, any team with Steph Curry, like, you have to come prepared because they can beat you on any given night because Steph Curry is that good.
And the Lakers weren't prepared and they lost.
And I'm happy about that. But
yes.
But like, bottom line, the Jazz are a better team. I don't think I don't know if you'd say any player on the Jazz is at Steph Curry's level, but then like to get to the second best player as far as impact on the Warriors, which is probably Draymond at this point. I know he's another one of those players that doesn't like stuff the box score, but makes an impact in other ways. And like, I'd say Rudy's better than Draymond. Mitchell's better than Draymond. When Bojan's on, he's better than Draymond. When Conley's been consistent, I'd take him over Draymond. So there's at least 4 players right there that are better than the Warriors' second player. So it should be a Jazz victory. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jazz lost, but I don't think they should. I'd be disappointed if the Jazz lost.
I totally agree with you. I would be disappointed with this game too, but like, win streaks have to come to an end at some point. I'm thinking that we can honestly string this one into double digits though, since Jazz have a chance to beat the Warriors, then have a chance to beat the Knicks this upcoming week, which I think they'll do because they're a better team and because of vengeance and not wanting to have that bad taste from their last game against the Knicks. And then this is where it gets interesting. So, I mean, Thursday night's game was hard for the Jazz. They played a great coach for the second game in a row, and he made some good adjustments that put the Jazz in hot water in the first half. So another great coach is Rick Carlisle. Like, he's one of the best coaches in the NBA. And so they are going to have to play the Dallas Mavericks twice. I think the first game they will easily win, just like with the Pelicans. I think the second game, we're going to see another similar game to that Pelicans second game, where the Jazz are going to have to reach deep down inside and find what it takes to win. And hopefully they can do it again. I think they're capable of doing it, and seeing if they were able to do that and stretch the win streak to 11, that would remove a lot of doubts about this Jazz team from my mind and make me think that they are definitely capable of pushing for that 2 seed.
Yeah, and this Mavericks team, their record is not very good. They were 500. They played the Spurs last night and beat the Spurs. They were 500 going into that game. Now they're a game over 500. But I think the talent the team has is more than what their record shows. And I feel like the Jazz and Mavs, they've kind of gone back and forth because I think it was last season where like the Jazz beat the Mavericks pretty bad, and the Mavs went and like blew out the Jazz by like 40 points, and then the next game they played, the Jazz beat the Mavericks pretty bad. And obviously this is a different team, same core, but I'm really intrigued by the game because the Mavericks, they're a good team. They have a lot of talent, so they will challenge the Jazz. And if the Jazz go in confident, take control of the game, win both of those, that gives me a lot more confidence in this team when their schedule starts to get harder. So those are two key games.
And the Mavs have had a rough season, but I mean, Porzingis has been out with injury, and he's been playing the last 6 games. So the Jazz are going to get him like at game 8, 9 when he's getting his rhythm back, and could possibly come out and just blow up. So I would not be surprised if the Jazz lost, because while the Mavs have some cohesiveness issues, they are just a very talented team that if they were to somehow hit fire during the playoffs, I would not be shocked if they went all the way. They just have that much talent and are that capable. Right now, they just haven't put it together and don't have the best role players to like make everything stick and make a big championship push.
Yeah, I'm excited for these 4 games. I think I agree. The Mavs are wild card games. I don't know if I have a solid prediction one way or the other, but it's one of those things where is momentum stronger, or is the motivation from you're behind, so you need to catch up stronger? And that might be what it is with the Jazz and Mavs, because the Jazz they have the momentum, they're in a rhythm as a team. So I like that you brought up Rick Carlisle, because I think he might be it might be actually Rick Carlisle versus Quinn Snyder. Can Quinn Snyder keep his team with the momentum and keep in rhythm, and will Rick Carlisle be able to get the Jazz out of rhythm, because they've been in rhythm for the past 7 games, and if they win the next 2, then they'll be on a 9-game winning streak by the time they play the Mavs. So it might just be a coaching battle. Streak,
down in the comments, let us know how long this winning streak's going to go. How many games will the Jazz win before they lose? And Dale, what's your take? How many do you think they can rattle off before they end up losing the winning streak?
I think they'll win out. Yeah, they'll finish the season 68-4.
68-4.
No,
okay.
I'm looking at the schedule for real. I think the most likely place is I think they'll get to double digits, and they'll either lose that Mavs game or that Nuggets game, which I think it's totally possible that they could win and push this like deep into the teens. But I think they'll get to 10 at least, and then it'll probably end right after they get to double digits.
If they make it through Dallas and Denver, and then they have like another 4 games before they play Boston, I'm going to go out on a limb, and this is just shooting for the stars and probably entirely missing. I'm going to say that they make it to Sunday, February 7th, and they pull off 16 wins before losing at home against Boston. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say 16. Let us know if you're more on Dale's side, where they make it to 10 and then falter, or if they're going to go 16, or if they're going to end the season 68-4. So thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Called Bang Sports. Go Jazz, and let's do this. Let's beat the Golden State Warriors and keep on winning.